Welcome in. We are doing Mizkif's human design. There's going to be 3 different sections that we run over today. One is, what is human design? 2 is, how do you, Mizkif, say your yes and no specifically for you? And 3 is brain candy. What does all of this funky little stuff in this area up top mean? So what is human design? Human design is a person's energetic blueprints. It helps a person understand how they say their unique yes and no for them. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different way of saying yes and no for specifically who they are as a person. What I need to say firstly, though, is that I don't have your exact time of birth. This was just a guesstimate. If I get your time of birth, I could be very specific with everything that is said and also not shared. All right, so what is human design? A human design experience is getting to know yourself at a deeper level. When we're born, we're automatically conditioned to be something. You're male, you like blue, you're a girl, you like pink. When we're little, we have these busy little bodies that are forced to slow down and sit in class and listen to teachers. When people leave the humble abode that they were raised in, they think they're free, but they still have the TOS of life to adhere to. Or maybe you humiliated yourself and you vowed that you would never do that thing again. So you changed yourself even though you really enjoyed doing that thing. Maybe something traumatic happened and there's coping mechanisms. So there's many different reasons as to why a person can be changed. But basically, there's society conditions and we're just raised to believe that what we're taught is true and we have to follow like sheep. And no, what this is here to tell you is that you are your unique self and you make your decisions in your own specific way. Bringing you back to who you are, and this is who you are. So, what's the point of human design? Again, once you understand who you are and you start understanding how you say your yes and no, how do you say your yes and no, Mizkif? If you follow that yes or no, then you're automatically going to allow your purpose to flow through you. So your purpose is the incarnation cross. If anybody were to Google their purpose in life, it would be incarnation cross. And it's seen a lot across the board that a lot of people feel like they don't have any purpose in life, but I'm here to tell you that you do. And the way to have it flow through you is by making decisions as you, not as the other person. An incarnation reading is like a 2-hour reading itself. So, all right. What is human design? It's your user manual of life. It's your energetic blueprints. Once you start saying your yes and no, you allow your purpose to flow through you if you're following that yes and no correctly. So that's what human design is. Part 1, complete. Going into part 2. How does Mizkif, how do you say your yes and no? Well, I want to throw in some jargon terms here. Your type is that you're a manifesting generator. You're not supposed to understand what that means. It's just a term. This is what you would call yourself over in the human design realm, is you're a manifesting generator. That's who you are. That's it. No deeper meaning is supposed to be understood. But because you are a manifesting generator, this is your decision mechanism right here. This is how you make your response mechanisms in life, your choice mechanism. How do you say your yes and no? So you'll hear me, oh shoot, strategy and authority. That's what I meant to be doing that too. So strategy and authority are your choice mechanism. Strategy and authority your yes and no. This is your response mechanism, your choice mechanism. So what did I say before? If you're making decisions correctly as you, then you're allowing your purpose to flow through you. Okay, so this is your choice mechanism right here, two-part choice mechanism. It's going to take some time to explain this, so I hope you can sit back, relax, and enjoy this part. The juicy brain candy of what all of this fun little stuff means will come later on part 3. But this is the most important part of human design. How do you say your yes and no? Because everything else doesn't matter. The most important part is saying your yes and no. Everything else just falls in line. How do you say your yes and no? Once again, strategy, authority, your response mechanism, your choice mechanism. 2 parts, response and emotional solar plexus. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. Emotional solar plexus, just because it says emotional doesn't mean that your emotions are all over the place. You actually have this fixed understanding of what your emotions mean. Okay. So this is part 2. Once again, how do you say your yes and no? So this part is actually 2 parts. Strategy and authority. You'll hear me interchange those words, strategy and authority, choice mechanism, throughout this experience. So what does it mean to respond? I'm actually going to put a word in there. It's called wait to respond. Waiting to respond. That's your strategy. Waiting to respond. What that means is that you're firstly waiting to see if you have the energy to partake in what it is that is presented to you. That's what you're waiting to see. But mainly what you're waiting to respond to is to break up that conditioning that you're taught over life. Our elders, our authoritative figures, our bosses, Twitch, they all expect us to act a certain way. And we've been taught to react a certain way in a particular situation. And that's what you're breaking up, those taught behaviors that were deemed correct by society. So that's what you're waiting for. Waiting or stopping the reactions that you normally do, or the conditioned behavior that you were taught to do in specific situations. So waiting to respond. Now, what does responding sound like to you, though? As the manifesting generator, you have this juicy life force energy, and it just attracts people, places, opportunities, and life towards you. And that's what you're responding to, are those things that are coming at you in life. Are you going to do it? Uh-huh. Are you going to do it? Uh-uh. So what does that sound like? Your uh-huh or uh-uh. When you have something coming at you in life, sorry, I just started thinking about how you changed your mind about going across the world, but that's why I got distracted. Once somebody told you their opinion on the experience. Okay. So you've broken up the conditioning, but what does your body actually tell you? What does it mean to respond? Well, a response sounds like these caveman sounds, or these guttural sounds. Or maybe they sound like these pure baby guttural sounds, like ooh or ah. When a baby doesn't like something, they're like, eh. What does the response sound like to you? Uh-huh, ow, and ow, or that means no for now, and that's okay. Maybe in 5 minutes the answer will be yes, and maybe the person who asked you the question didn't ask you the correct way. Maybe something changed within the last few moments and now the answer is yes. Or now the answer is no. That's okay. You've stopped the conditioning and now there is a choice to make. In a moment, your body will tell you uh-huh or uh-uh to a response. And just because it says uh-huh, it doesn't mean that you need to instantaneously act on it, because your inner authority says otherwise. But we'll talk about that. You said uh-huh. That means yeah, maybe you should consider doing it because you do have the energy to do it. But the thing is that you do need to gain clarity about that over time. That's your second part of your choice mechanism. You've stopped the conditioning. You've heard your response of your gut, uh-huh, and now it's time to get clarity on what your body said. Once again, just because it says emotional doesn't mean that you're an emotional being. What does it mean to have your solar plexus defined? Having your solar plexus defined, 50% of the world has it defined. I don't have it defined, so these are just going to be examples that I've been given. But having your inner authority, you need to gain clarity on what your decisions are. If you're making a decision when you're super excited or frustrated, that's not a good time for you to get a decision made or have a decision made. It's said that when you make a decision, having any nervousness towards the situation is still considered not having clarity. I've been told that having clarity is about 70% sure on knowing what you know, to be clear. If you are 70% sure, congrats. It's pretty darn clear. So I know sometimes people have to make instant decisions, but maybe there's multiple doors that you can go through. So there's like 5 options for you to choose, but maybe door number 4 is the most clear. I'm not saying instantaneous decisions are good for you. I'm just saying sometimes people do have to. So the ones that's most clear, that's the one that you should make the decisions on or about. But it's just because you want to ride that emotional wave, the up and down of the decisions that you are going to make. So one of the things that I'm going to say is that you need to be patient, Mizkif. Patient with yourself and patient with the things that you want to do. Your body is going to tell you if you have enough energy to partake or not. Uh-huh or uh-uh. So yes, it's talking about riding that emotional wave. Seeing if you would enjoy the up, seeing if you would enjoy the down before you commit. So when people ask you to commit to something and you're like, I mean, clearly that's a no and you should just move on. Maybe somebody asks you to do something and you're like, I don't know. Or you're like, yeah. That's when you should take some time to get clarity if that's some things that you actually want to do before you make that commitment. So in that particular situation, you would say, just give me a moment, let me think about it. I'll let you know next week. And in that moment, people are trying to make the commitment more juicy for you because they want your energy. So the thing is that during that moment of, just a moment, let me think about it, let's just say the commitment fell through on their end and it was a really good opportunity and you really wanted it. The thing is that if it fell through on the other end, then it actually provided, I don't know, this sounds weird, but blessing for you. Because imagine if you were to have committed, you've already taken off the days, you've put your team to work, you've already spent the money on things, and the other people had already known that they were going to disconnect and discontinue with you, and you've already put so much energy into it. It's just going to make you frustrated. So, when you are acting your true self, you're allowing your purpose to flow through you, but when you're making decisions that aren't correct for you, then you'll see frustration in your life. So what is this two-part decision making for you then? Well, this response isn't about, hey, I'm Mizkif and I'm going to ask myself a question to see if that's what I want to do. No. I know as a streamer, there's a lot of pretty shiny things that a person may want to do. Ooh, cool, write them down. See if over time you get clarity if you want to do them or not. But once again, it's not asking yourself a question. Responses are moment by moment. Your eyes pop open in the morning. Why? Is it because somebody in your house was loud? Is it because Dido jumped on you? Is it because you're just finished being rested? What happened? What do you respond to doing next? Do you roll over and continue to sleep, or do you respond to getting out of bed? What happens after that? Well, you decide that you're done rested, you respond to getting out of bed, and, well, I guess I have to go use a poop or two. So, well, I'm going to be a while, so I respond to taking my phone. I'm actually a little bit hot, so I'm going to, take off my socks as I go down the hallway too. So it's response moment by moment. It's these environmental cues or these people literally asking you things. It's not you asking yourself questions. So, I have kitty cats. When they use their cat litter, I just shortly respond to going and cleaning it because I don't want to eat cat poop dust in the air. No thanks. Or literally, maybe somebody's asking you to go into contract with them with something. Whether it's be basic plans or multi-million-dollar experiences. So what if you do make the correct decision and you're feeling great and time goes by and then you become frustrated? I'm not saying that you need to start or quit something. Maybe something just needs to change. So at my previous job, my boss sucked and I was super frustrated and he got fired. The unlikeliness of that happening for a lot of people is, pretty small, but my frustration went away. It was awesome. I didn't have to quit. It was my boss that sucked. All right, so we're going to summarize what it is to say yes and no for Mizkif. Do it. Ooh, do it. Maybe your body just leans in towards it. Do it. It's going to allow your purpose to flow through you. Maybe your body says, don't do it. It's going to allow your purpose to flow through you. Maybe your body says, or it just literally folds in on itself. Ugh. Don't do it. Your body's saying no. Your purpose will flow through you. Let's just say there's an environmental cue and you're like, well, you're not the one who should go running towards it because your body says that you probably don't have energy for it. You're here to gain clarity over time based on the things that you've responded to. I'm not going to do it. Let's just say that your body tells you to do something and you do the opposite. Well, you're going to see yourself frustrated. because your body was telling you what you had energy for or not. And once again, if you entered into a commitment properly and the commitment changed from satisfaction into frustration, maybe there's something needs to change. How does something change? Well, you then respond in the moment when it happens, and then you gain clarity. So that's how you say it. Start trusting your gut, and start being patient with yourself. And this allows me to roll into part number 3, being patient. There's a multitude of regions and reasons as to why you need to be patient with yourself. This definition is triple split. Long story short, there's a line here, but I'd have to lift up my pencil to connect the next set of lines together. And then these bottom ones are all connected together, but they're not all connected together by one line. This actually isn't connected, believe it or not. And that's what I actually got distracted with a little bit earlier about the chart mechanics. That's not connected there. This is actually a triple split. So why do I mention that? I mention that you really need to slow down and be patient with yourself when it comes to decisions, because think about how long it just took me to explain triple split definition just in words. Imagine how long it would take for your energy to make a decision based on something you need to do. It has to run through your whole energy system to pop out an answer of if it's correct for you or not. If you take time to get clarity, that's fine. But the thing is that you being an instantaneous being is not a part of your direct connection of who you are. I've watched you with your spin a wheel and 10K spins, 10K subs. I've seen it. They were pretty exciting and frustrating times for you, I bet. I bet there's a lot of things that you say and you're like, no, I wish I didn't say that. So it takes time for you to make decisions. Triple split. It's kind of like filling in the blanks, coloring it in and seeing what can be connected and having connections with people, making decisions. So be patient. Because I don't have your exact time of birth, I can't specifically tell you what is going to pressure you in life to feel your most not self. Like, oh my God, I have to gain this in order to be a complete person. I don't have that information because I don't have your exact time of birth. So I'm just going to stop there. Same with profile. That changes throughout the day, whether you're born in the morning or the night. But profile is your behavioral costume in life. I believe your profile is a 4-6, and that means that you're a networker, a role model. Your brotherhood, your sisterhood mean a lot to you, and when you get burned, they ain't allowed in your network anymore. You're a person who has something to say, and you might be a little bit pushy when you have something to say. Or when you have the opportunity to say it. It's just like verbal diarrhea. But you are the role model, the administrator. You're the person who's seen what has come over the horizon. You see what's coming next. And you've been considered to be very wise at a young age. And you're still bumping into things in the first part of your life. And in the second part of your life after 30, you'll be considered to be in this nice little cocoon phase and protection, where you can kind of lick the wounds of what has hurt you in the first part of your life. But yeah, because I don't have your exact time of birth, I don't know if that's your true behavioral costume in life, how you see yourself and how others see you. And I don't know this either. But what I do have is some consistency over here in your chart. Let's go over to this brain candy. How does this make itself up in the chart? Well, over here on the right side, with the black numbers, it says personality. This is actually a list of who a list of characteristics that define you, who you are, and they were captured at the moment of your birth. You are aware of these or conscious of these aspects of yourself. You have here on the left-hand side design, red numbers. This was captured 88 days before you were born, and this is also a list of characteristics that does describe you, but you might not be so aware of them. But looking over your past, you would be aware of these aspects of who you are. All right. These geometrical shapes here, they're called centers. You'll notice that most of them are colored in, and one of them is white. Just because it's white, it doesn't mean you're broken. The ones that are colored in are considered to be defined or definition or consistent or reliable. This is what you put out into the world. This is you. Now the white center, this is considered to be open or undefined. It's inconsistent or unreliable. So we don't rely on this particular center to make decisions. We'll talk about colored in and not colored in. All right. Remember, I said that the colored in stuff, the colored in centers, this is you. It's a consistency, what you put out into the world. So you have a fixed way. Oh, hold on. I skipped one part. You will notice that over here, the line 14 or gate 14 exists here. And the 2 exists here. You'll notice that the 29 exists here. That's how the colors come down into the chart. When you have a half gate, or when you have a gate, and it happens to meet 2 in a row, this makes a channel, and that's what creates those centers on either side of it. The consistent life force energy. I know it's a bunch of jargon, but it is what it is. So that's how all of this stuff comes down into the chart. This is how it makes up who you are. So you have this fixed way of understanding your emotions. This is the solar plexus. This is an awareness center and a motor. So it's actually unstable right now because it's in mutation. And long story short, you just have a fixedness of how you express your emotions and feelings. Down here, this is the root center. This is about adrenaline, pressure, timing. And once again, you really do have this fixed way of understanding proper timing for yourself. Mizkif, you know when the proper timing is for you. Over here to the left-hand side, this is called the spleen. And this is about being intuitively aware of what is correct for you, what is healthy for you and your body. This is also about understanding what is correct for you to let go of and what is correct for you to hold on to regarding support systems. This red center here, this is your sacral. This is actually where your manifesting generator aura comes from, the juicy life force energy. And this is actually when you're acting correctly, you know when enough is enough. And this is also where your strategy comes from to respond. So up here, this yellow diamond, this is the G center. This is all about direction, identity, connections, and your role in life. So you do have this fixed way of how you express your connections, your direction in life, your creativity. But this aspect of you might be unaware because it is on the right side from the chart, the right colors. All right. And now up top here we have the brown square. This is called the throat center. It's about manifestation, metamorphosis. You have a fixed way of bringing things out into the world, expressing your voice. this green upside down triangle, this is the Ajna, this is about fixed conceptualization. You have a very specific way of thinking. You think very logically, sometimes abstractly, and your thoughts are very mutative. And they just happen. This awareness just exists within you. And up here, the yellow triangle, this is called the head center. This is all about inspiration and being inspired. So you have this fixed way of being inspirational from your head. You have this fixed way of being inspired as well. All right. So once again, all of this stuff that is defined, this is who Mizkif is. This is reliable. This is what you put out into the world. What does it mean all synthesized together? Well, you're a person who is here to respond to life. And when you respond to life, you will understand what is correct and safe for your health and your body. When's the correct timing for you to go, because you have gained clarity. And when you do that, it will bring you in new directions with these new connections in life that will allow you to manifest these things that have come from your head that you have conceptualized and you have thought as being inspirational. All right. Well, the thing is that this is really just poking out to me here. Usually I would go into the little channels, the little lines in between right now, but this center here is the lone wolf, so I'm just going to talk about it now. Just because I've been pretty much been wanting to talk about it since I popped open this chart. It was the second thing that I got distracted with. Now, once again, I don't have your time of birth, but this is actually called your heart center. It's not about love. It's about commitment and willfulness. So 70% of the world has this white. So remember, I said that the white stuff in your chart is inconsistent and unreliable. So your willfulness and your commitment can be unreliable. Yeah. When you're super excited and in someone else's presence and you commit to something, not a good time to make a decision, because A, you're acting instantaneously. B, I told you need to be patient. And C, you don't have instantaneous access to your willpower and commitment, so you really do need to rely on your sacral to say, I don't have the energy, or you do have the energy for that. I bet that when you are out of that little bit of excitement, you're like, oh my God, would I just commit to that? Ugh. Well, then it's up for you to decide if you want to be the person who doesn't do it or not. I bet you find yourself frustrated when you do commit to those experiences that you kind of regretted getting into anyways. You'll be frustrated. Frustrated. Why do I mention this? I know for a fact that you have heart problems. Mizkif, have you been pushing yourself beyond your energy's capacity? I'm not here to be a doctor, but your heart center is fully undefined here, completely open. This is where your brain may think that you have the energy to go, but maybe you're just burnt out and your heart needs a rest. Your commitment, your willfulness needs to slow the butt freak down. Just because this is small doesn't mean that it's insignificant and has some of the biggest impact on the chart. So when you're in your not self, some of the expressions that you can feel in here is, I'm not enough, I'm not deserving, I need to get that next thing, I need to have control, I need to prove my value. But I'm here to tell you that there's nothing wrong with exactly where you are right now. You are deserving, you are loved, and there's nothing that you need to prove even to yourself. Maybe you, during your exercise regime, you're trying to get to a certain weight by a certain time, a certain rep. When you are not self, heart, gut, and digestion and gall issues are that of which you see here. I mean, I'm a person who does have it defined. I'm one of the 30% who does have it defined, and I pushed myself beyond the point of burnout that I have digestive issues, even though it is defined. So I'm here to remind you that there's nothing that you need to do to prove anything to anybody. You do have control over your materialistic world, and you have nothing to prove. You are amazing just as you are. I'm not saying that just because you're Mizkif. I'm just saying that you are. You are loved just as you are. How do you get out of making the wrong commitments while you use your or and then you gain clarity over time to see if those are the commitments that you want to do. Regarding that large trip that you went overseas, you're like, yeah, I want to do it, yeah. And then you had a friend of yours say, well, did you know what's actually going on there? And then you gain some clarity and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go. So what do you really feel about that? Are you currently frustrated at yourself? Is there a decision that has to change for you? I'm not sure. I'm not you. There's only one thing to synthesize here. There's absolutely nothing that you need to do to prove yourself or to gain materialistic control or to commit to anything, because your or will tell you what you need to do. You will gain clarity over time based on what you need to do. Okay. We're technically going into the last portion of this because we can't go any further because we don't have profile definition. Incarnation cross is a whole different reading, but I think it's awesome that you are the right angle cross of contagion. Right angle, I believe you're right angle all day if you're born. Right angle is like you got the blinders on to life, and that's fine. I have that. It is what it is. That is what is needed for you in order to get on with your purpose. And contagion, I mean, yeah, you can think it as contagious. It spreads. You spread. Meow. The message that you have is to be spread. That's all I'm going to say about the rest of this stuff over here. We're going to talk about all the lines in between. These are channels. This makes up who you are as well. It's consistent energy. I'm going to start with this one here. And this one here. These are both collective channels. And let's talk about them separately first, though. We have over here the 63 to the 4. This is the channel of logic. A design of mental ease mixed with doubt. So yeah. Regarding your energy, your triple splitness and needing to get clarity over time, mental ease mixed with doubt, you're just going to be uncertain. And that's okay. Sometimes you're going to be certain and you're going to have that mental clarity. That's it. You're going to formulate things until you don't have any doubt. All right, let's move down to here. This is the channel 41 to 30, the channel of recognition, a design of focused energy. You're a person who is quite aware of the fact that you want to start a lot of things, a lot of time, maybe not necessarily have the energy to finish them. You do have the recognition of feelings as well. Now, the thing is that this channel here is called decrease or contraction. It's not meant to say that you aren't meant to have this decrease or contraction in life. It's just that you are meant to focus on one thing at a time. If you try to focus on more than one thing at a time, each project is going to get a poop experience of the version of what it was supposed to be. If you have a million things going on in your mind and you're trying to accommodate all of them, it's going to be quite overwhelming. I assume sometimes frustrating. But the thing is that you do have the capability of, contracting, decreasing, and you do have the ability to focus on the thing that you need to focus on, one thing at a time. And that's what's going to allow you to have the best experience. And I'm not saying one item, 1 month at a time. No. If you have 18 projects going on, maybe spend 2 hours on one project, then work, and then spend another hour on another project, etc. So split up that focus. Don't try to do all 18 things at once. It's not going to work out well for you. The only time at which that you will be recognized is when it's not forced. The collective will recognize you based on your demonstration over time. And you're like, well, what demonstration? Let's talk about that. This is where the rest of the chart comes in. Right here, this channel, this channel, this channel, this channel. There's 4 of them out of 11, maybe. You have 4 of the 11 individual channels, meaning you're a highly individual person. What does that mean? You're a person who is here to be within your own process, selfishly contained within your own doing, not meant to be interrupted by the other through their words. So you could be called deaf. Why don't you just listen? It's because you're not meant to be mutated that way by other people's words. So regarding these individual channels, when you are acting yourself, when you are honoring your truth and allowing your energy to flow through you, saying gaining clarity, that is when you will be your most inspirational. That is how the collective is going to pick up and recognize your demonstration over time. This is how the collective will recognize your logic and your formalization. We can hear my cat meowing in the background. I am talking about these in a very clumped up way at this moment, but that's okay because they need to be talked about that way. Let's talk about these 4 channels again, because they are individual channels. They are highly likely to experience melancholy. So it's most likely that you're experiencing melancholy right now, Mizkif. About what? Well, let's talk about what melancholy feels like first. Boredness, so deep you feel it in your bones. It feels like this emptiness or this nothingness, but melancholy is this biochemical process. There's nothing that you need to do to make this uncomfortable feeling go away. All you got to do is continue to make your proper decisions for you, knowing that when you leave this melancholic process that you will have made proper decisions for you. Now, this melancholy, the reason why we talk about it is because it can be quite harsh to go through that. And a lot of people act on it because it's just so uncomfortable to sit through that melancholy. But the thing is, though, is that regarding your melancholy, anybody's melancholy, allow it. Don't try to push it away, because this is just the beginning of something very deep and creative. Let's get all biblical, all creation stories. It all started from nothing, and then there was something. So that's what you're experiencing here. You are going through this mutative, creative, deeply focused process that when you come out of that melancholic process, there's going to be something deeply creative at the end of it. What would these melancholic channels feel like to you? Well, why would I even bother struggling? Struggling for the rest of my life? Ugh. This one can be very clinically deep. Make sure you go see your doctor. This one here is about why would I even bother trying to be going in any direction I'm never going to get there. Trying to start new directions, it's never going to happen. Why would I even bother having any new knowing or try to be aware? It's just never going to get there. Why would I bother being this influential leader that contributes? It's never going to be seen. But remember, all of that is this melancholic stage of something creative about to start. Now let's talk about what these channels actually mean. Once again, they are who you are. This is what you put out into the world. And this here is the channel of struggle, a design of being stubborn. This doesn't mean that you're here to struggle in life. It means that you are quite aware of what's worth willing to be fought for, what's willing to be risked for that struggle. Some things just aren't worth struggling for, so why would you even bother wasting your energy? And because it is individual, your individual fight, your individual struggle will be some of which what is recognized by the collective. Moving up here, this is the channel of the beat, the keeper of the keys. Now this is unconscious to you fully. So this means that you might be unaware that you are the keeper of the keys. Keeper of what keys? The kingdom. Maybe might not keep the keys at all. Maybe you might not see that you have this own beat about you. But this is who you are, bringing yourself into new directions and bringing other people into new directions. Your environment is probably going to be changing soon. Directions. Maybe about 30-ish. Now, regarding this as well, you may not know how much risk there is in something, or you might be highly aware of the fighter that is within you. Remember, what is the proper thing to struggle for? What is the proper direction for you? Your body's going to tell you or All right, let's talk about this channel here. This channel here is also individual. This is a channel of inspiration, the creative role model. So this is where you have this self-expression about you and this contribution about you. And the thing is that you might not be aware that you are this creative role model. You now probably recognize that as yourself. But growing up, you might have wondered why people saw you as this individual who is inspirational. But once again, because it is individual, you being yourself, you being your role model, is what will eventually be inspirational and recognized by the collective. As described before in the other video, you are this person who understands where people are going in life, and you're like the taxi driver picking up people. And if people aren't waiting for a taxi or haven't called a taxi, they're not going to get in. So, even though this is individual, it is about the collective. So the collective is only going to hear it when they're ready to hear it. Moving up to the head. This is the channel of awareness, the design of a thinker. There's this mystery about you. You are a person who has this rationalization about you. So you're a person who formulates and rationalizes. There's a lot of things going on up in your head. Only 30% of the population has their head defined. And there's no fixed way of you expressing it to your throat. So just be patient with yourself once again. The only way in which your mutative awareness is going to be recognized by the collective is if you respond to doing your own thing and getting clarity over it. How do you know what you know? I don't know. It just happened. That's that new knowing that just happens out of nowhere. You are a very mutative being. You are meant to mutate things. You are meant to be this person who is selfishly moving through your process because you understand what is correct and healthy for you. When you are moving through your process, responding to gaining clarity about that, then you will be brought in new directions, bringing people along new directions with you. And you will be this person like a taxi who is this influence and who knows what's there is to contribute. Only when you gain clarity will the collective recognize that intuitive awareness that you do have this knowledge that just pops out of nowhere and this logic about you. And that is when your individual freak will become the genius. People will recognize you as the genius. I'm a freak. People haven't recognized my genius yet because this is weird. But yes, Mizkif, this is who you are. I could talk many, many hours about this, but I don't have your true time of birth. We could talk about your environment, the people you need in order to be successful, where you've come, where you're going, what drives you, what grounds you, what are your values in life. And then, I don't know, maybe we could do pokey dokey and see what you guys are like in a friendship and see what kind of magnetics that push and pull you guys together. How you guys say that you're best friends and how that works for you guys. There's many different ways that we could talk about your energy. But this is where we're going to end it now. I really did have I really did have a good time explaining this, and no time of birth equals not accurate information. So I hope you really did enjoy this. If you guys want your experience like Mizkif, it's $50 US. The full experience is $250. So part 1 and 2, what is human design? How do you say your yes and no is 50. And part 3 is the $250 experience. So yeah, what I want to do now is to really say, don't take what I said with a grain of salt. I just want you to go out and experiment with it. Think about it. See if what I'm telling you is true. See if it works for you. Just like a science experiment. That's the hypothesis. This human design, saying my and being patient, does that work for me? Experiment with it and draw a conclusion. I bet you'll be much more satisfied in life. All right, loves. Thank you so much for listening.